John cannot present, and we apologize for the technical problems, but I think they are not depending on us. We have not fully understood the psychology of Adobe Connect, and sometimes it works with some computer. Then, after a lot of trials, we find sometimes what is the detail in a local computer that prevents from working. Uh, Everybody says it works perfectly with Skype, but it doesn't work with Adobe Connect, and that happens many times, and we don't know yet why. Uh, but I heard from Sabrina that John Gill very kindly will send us some written material about his presentation, and I'm sure that due to his long-lasting experience, it will be very helpful to everybody. Uh, I think that it's a good idea to use this gap of time by taking the opportunity of giving you some latest update on the status of the project. Well, now we are approaching the end of the year, and we have some deliverables that we have to submit before the end of the year. In the slide, you see the list. We have a first deliverable called deliverable 1.5. This was intended to be released in month 18, that means in June, search engine and interface specification. But it's still not ready because you know all the changes that we had to make in the project, because we had to redesign Work Package 5. So the idea is that we will move the deadline to month 25, that means the end of January. And the idea is that we will release this deliverable end of January. This will be a very technical deliverable explaining how the search engine and the interface works. Then we have deliverable 1.6 that this deliverable is actually the first release of the search engine and interface. That means the first release of the Thematic Network website. This was due at the end of December. We will move at the end of January. So this deliverable will be the external description of how the first release of the system works. So deliverable 1.5 will be a technical deliverable, and 1.6 is just a descriptive deliverable. Then we, in our description of work, we had to release also a deliverable called taxonomy management tools, and we made a technical analysis, and we found that we have to move to next June because we are not able to develop now. We have another deliverable called 6.1, the partners web services specification. This is also a technical deliverable that gives instructions to the partners who want to connect the ETNA information system in an automatic way. So this is document for software developers. And also these deliverables which was due at the end of December will be moved at the end of January. So in other words, end of January will be the date when we will release the first ETNA information system and all the technical deliverables around it. Then we have other administrative deliverables. One is the archive of webinars, which is very easy because it's just to make a deliverable describing all the webinars. And the annual report number 2. This is administrative but also scientific, is a kind of history and critical analysis of how of our activity of this year. For sure, we will ask you some contributions for compiling a good annual report. So as you see, we are in a very hectic period. We have a lot of work, a lot of technical work in this period. So now we move to the second slide. I want to highlight some key dates we have in the next months. The first key date is our workshop. It will be a joint workshop between ETNA and ATIS for All. As you know, the date is February 21 and 22, and the workshop will be in Milano. This is a very important workshop because in this workshop we will see, discuss, analyze the first release of the thematic network portal, so the ETNA information system, the ATIS for All collaborative portal, and we will also decide on how to exploit it, how to assess and evaluate also. As a satellite event to the ETNA ATIS for All workshop, there will be a EASTIN technical meeting that will be just immediately before. This will be a restricted meeting for partners of the EASTIN network and national contacts. And we thought was a good idea to have the EASTIN meeting before the ETNA workshop, so all ETNA issues that have an impact on the EASTIN association will have been discussed before the workshop, so the discussion will be much easier. Another key date is the ETNA review by the Commission. Luckily, it is scheduled quite late. It will be in April 4, and I think this is a good date because it's after the workshop, and enough time after the workshop when so we have time to refine deliverables before sending to the reviewers, and you know, if you have good deliverables, usually you have a good successful review. So having in mind these key dates, we look at our substantial dates. So the idea, as I told you in the first slide, is to have the ETNA information system ready in the first prototype, in the first release at the end of January. So as I told you, the initial schedule was end of December, but we need more time to complete, to debug, and to make technical trials. So we are more confident in announcing it at the end of January instead of December. We expect from the other network, from the ATIS for All network, their prototype ready, that is called the ATIS for All virtual community. So we hope it will be ready at the same time as our information system. But indeed, we don't have certain information about that. Let's move to the third slide, and I want to give you some more information about the technical components of the ETNA information system. So basically there are 5 components. One is the ETNA, the domain model is the internal description of data, how data are handled by the information system, and this is something new because it's based on the ETNA taxonomy. Then the other component is the search engine. The search engine is based on the current EASTIN engine adapted to deal with the new domain model. Also, the search interfaces will be still have the same appearance of the current EASTIN interfaces, with some adaptation to adapt to the new domain model. Then there will be a new component, the upload tool. This will be a website where people who are not provider type A, I will explain later, so people can directly input information on products, articles, and whatever else manually. And then there will be a component for which we have developed the ETNA side, is the rating and comments tool, and we are ready with that, and we are waiting for ATIS4All completing their side. If when they will be ready, the system will work together, and we will have the rating and comment tools. So when we speak of the prototype expected in January, we speak about an engine made of these five components. This we will see at the workshop, we will discuss, and we will assess and evaluate and validate. Concerning the data providers to the ETNA information system, I think that everybody has in mind the term providers type A and type B, but I want to add some more detailed information. Providers type A are the information providers who communicate with the ETNA information system in an automatic way. That means through web services. In this category, we have all the current ETNA partners and plus other partners of the ETNA network that we expect to be ready to communicate through web services. Currently, we have in mind the system Outsoft. We also spoke with the OAG, the repository managed by CERT in Greece. And we have also some external providers that we approach that are willing to collaborate. One very important is the American ASSISTDATA system, that they will be happy to participate in this experimental stage to connect to the ETNA engine. And let's see if other members of the ETNA network will be able to communicate through web services. I also want to stress that the way we are designing the system is to also to ensure retrocompatibility with the current ETNA system. You know that the current ETNA system is based on 8 major information systems that provides the data. They communicate through web services, but you know, we have a new domain model, and if anybody of these partners want to be fully compatible with the ETNA taxonomy, they have to work and to adapt their web services. And this is not possible at the same time for everybody because of it may be very, very demanding in terms of technical work, and they need also administrative decisions and so on. So the design of the system is made in such a way that even if all the ETNA partner is not fully compliant to the new ETNA taxonomy, the data will be managed anyway by the ETNA information system. Simply, their data will be not visible when you make searches through the ETNA taxonomy. But in the time, when they will decide to adapt the web service, as soon as the web service is adapted, it will work compliant to the new taxonomy. I think that this was a very important point. It was quite complicated to be solved, technically speaking. You know, the ETNA was intended as a thematic network, so a project without substantial development work. But it's true that we did a lot of development work, and we are still doing a lot of development work. Well, we are happy to do that because we really are confident that after the ETNA can bring a lot of added value to the ETNA system if the work is well done technically. So this is about providers type A. So providers type A, just summarizing, will be the current ETNA partners plus some other new partner that will try out how to work, how to plug in this experimental stage. Well, then there are the providers type B. Type B are information providers that maybe they have an information system, but not so well structured, or they don't have enough information technology expertise to be able to develop reliable web services. So for this providers, there will be an upload tool. This, of course, is designed according to the ETNA taxonomy. So any data uploaded through this upload tool will be fully compliant with the ETNA taxonomy. Responsibility for the quality of contents of the data uploaded will lie in the hands of those who upload. And the organization or the person who uploads a piece of information, then he will be responsible for maintaining, updated, and so on. So at the end of January, we will see also this upload tool, and this will make the prototype complete. Okay, so I think we can be quite happy of how things are going within our network. We have some delays, but are delays that will be compensated before the review. So the reviewer will not see any pending deliverables. Maybe one, the ontology management tool, but we can have good reasons to motivate the delay. In the first review, we had some recommendation. For example, we have to develop a dissemination plan, so we have also some more work to do, but I think we will be able to do that. We don't have sound information on how things are going technically in the other network, so I'm not able to ensure that both portal, ETNA information system, and the ATIS collaborative portal will work at the same level at that time, but we are confident on that. We just hope that. So I finish my update by giving you a wish of Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year from my mountains, the Dolomites, that you see in the winter dressing, that is like they appear in these days.
So thank you, Renzo. I don't know if you have any questions to ask Renzo before the next presentation. So I will give you. So I will give you 1 minute for your questions. Otherwise, I will give the floor to Thomas. Okay, then, if you have any question, you can ask also after Thomas' presentation. So I can see that in the meanwhile, Thomas has come, fortunately.
Lægger jeg lyd på. Okay.
Hi, Thomas. I can hear you.
It's good. Fine. Okay, thank you. I'm Thomas Lyne from the National Board of Social Services, and I'm responsible for Assistive Technology Data Denmark, which I will give you a presentation of today. When the ETNA project started, I represented the Danish Center for Assistive Technology, HMI, but last year, as a consequence of a cut in finances, the Danish Center was merged into the National Board of Social Services, which is an independent subdivision of the Ministry of Social Affairs. At the Danish Center, we were about 40 people employed, and now we are 14 people from the Danish Center in the National Board. Fortunately, the team working with ASSISTDATA is still intact, and besides me, it's Klaus Svane Olsen, who in 13 years has taken care of the daily maintenance and quality control, and supporting suppliers and end users and professionals in using the system. Then we have Mary Peterson, who qualifies the classification structure in the system. She also takes part in the Nordic classification group and gives input to the ISO working group. And then Greta Olsson, who in relation to ASSISTDATA helps making ASSISTDATA usable for development of requirement specifications for public procurement. Unfortunately, Niels-Erik Mathiasen is not part of the national board, and for your information, he's now a division director at the Norwegian organization called Statped. It's the Norwegian National Support System for Special Needs Education. So he still lives in Denmark but works in Oslo. First, a little about the background of ASSISTDATA. ASSISTDATA is our national database on assistive technology, and it provides information on devices available on the Danish market and associated information such as literature references, news, etc. ASSISTDATA is also providing information to the ETNA portal. Yes, and the purpose of ASSISTDATA is to ensure that all citizens from one website has easy and free access to detailed and comparable information on assistive products. And with ETNA we have given the opportunity to look out to the European market too. And the second thing is to support the Danish public system for handling and providing assistive products. And this includes the reusing of assistive products and warehouse functions, casework and public purpose. Our primary users are professionals, end users and their relatives, and suppliers, manufacturers. You could say that the case managers and therapists, they look at our data both from data management systems and directly in the application. I will come back to this later. The database was established in 1988, so it's actually an old database. What started there was that the Danish Center, they started a systematic collection and classification of product information. During the 90s, the database was extended and data was published in printed catalogs. It was also used more and more in these data management systems, which were being more and more common at the AT warehouses in Denmark. And then in 2000, the content of the database was published on the internet, and in 2004 we started online data collection from the suppliers. 2006 ETNA was published after the ETNA project, and we were one of the founding partners. So data from the Danish system has been in ETNA from the beginning. In 2011 we made an English version of our system, and then here in 2012 we were merged into the National Board of Social Services. If you want to read more about it, you can use the link here. There is a presentation of the National Board of Social Services. Yes, well, the devices in the database are classified according to the ISO classification, but besides this, all the devices are subdivided into a fourth level below the third levels in the ISO classification. And we also collect technical details about technical specifications related to the fourth level classification. Today we have information on about 20,000 product series, and it's collected from about 1,000 Danish suppliers. So you can also find contact information on these suppliers in the system. And then besides these product informations, which is the largest data amount in the system, we have literature references, and we have a forum with about 2,000 members now, and we have a list of relevant principal rulings in the field of assistive technology, and they are all related to the ISO classification. Then a little about the use of the system. We have between 65,000 and 75,000 visits per month in the web application, and it's 6.5 page views per visit. If we look into the English pages and the Danish pages, it is mostly the Danish pages which are visited. It's only about 2 or 3% which are the English pages. But of course the English information is sent to the ETNA, so the English information might be read through the ETNA. But if we look at the browser, which browsers people use, it's about 10% which are English American browsers and 85% which are Danish browsers. Then about the data collection, we have an online data collection, which means that the suppliers, they can log into the system and enter new products and update information about existing products. We check new products before they are published, but this mostly concerns the check of the classification, since most quality is ensured by validation in the system. The suppliers can update the information through web forms, but also through a spreadsheet. They can export information about their own products and edit it or change it in an Excel file, and then import the spreadsheet again. And we have about 300 new products each month, and between 1,500 and 2,000 updates each month. And then this about maintenance and quality control, it's mainly on the structure. So we are working on qualifying the classification and these force levels and technical specifications. We increase the number of mandatory fields when we improve the structure, asking new questions about technical specifications. We make it mandatory to enter these informations when new products are entered into the system. Yes, well, then the next slides, they will just show the different interfaces, because we have the database and the data is read through different interfaces. Actually, I forgot to put ETNA in, but I suppose you can imagine that. So ETNA is also an interface from which our data is published. But this is the front page of the Danish version of the database. This is the English version, so it's the same but with a little less amount of links, because we don't have the principal rulings, we don't have the forum in the English version, but all the product information are here. And we ask the suppliers to give us both Danish and English descriptions of their products. Then we have recently developed a web app. It's interface optimized for smartphones, and it gives you the possibility to search into the product catalog, so you can search for product information, searching for product groups or product names, or you can search for suppliers and get information about the suppliers, or you can search through, we have something we call HMI number, which is a product identification number, which is used in the warehouses where they have the reusable products. Then we have made a unique page for each HMI number, again this product identification number. So you can generate a QR code for each HMI number, and this is something we expect a lot from, because we from the warehouses they are marking the products with barcodes, but now they are also putting these QR codes on, making it possible to find information from ASSISTDATA when you are beside the product. And this is an example of one of these systems used in the Danish warehouses in the municipalities. This is a system developed by one of the providers of these systems. There are about 4 or 5 different systems in Denmark, but they all use the data from our system. So you can see it's the ISO codes, and it's the HMI numbers, and the names of the products, and technical details in the left corner in the bottom, and a picture of the product. This is the detailed information. So here they have the information from our system, and they add information about how many products they have and where it is, and yes, what price they gave and things like that. So it's local information they add to our data here. Then a little about the interface and how it's possible to retrieve information. On the front page we have this search field, which is a free text search, and here you can search for product groups. So this is the ISO classification titles. It's keywords connected to the classification. You can also enter a product name or a supplier name or a classification code 1224 or an HMI number or an article number, which is the article number from the supplier. And here I put in the words ball blanket. The result is you get a product group called ball blankets and weighted blankets. You also get product series which match the search. These are named something like a ball blanket, but it could also be part of the description. And then you have suppliers providing the ball blanket. So the supplier list is linked to the product group result. Then from the front page we also have these scope entries, which is an ISO Lite entry. So we have divided it into 6 main categories, which are mapped to the ISO classification. For example, mobility and transfer, and wheelchair, assistive technology for walking, etc. And if you go in there, you have a subdivision, and from here, if you take cycles, you have a further subdivision, and finally you get the products. An alternative from the front page is that you browse through the ISO classification. This is just some examples from that. And in the end you get to the product list. So here you have an example of commode shower chairs with casters, with pictures and descriptions and the supplier name. And you have different options to compare or to filter. So here we have a filtering option, and that's connected to the 4th level of our classification. So on the 4th level of the classification, we ask these questions to the suppliers to give us information about max user weight, total width, etc. And as a user, you can filter on these parameters. You can see in this picture, it says it in the top, it's 91 products are included in the product group. And then in the column amount in the table, there are some figures. The first one, user weight, 90 products have a value for user weight. But if you go down to armrest, pivoting, for example, it's only 22. And that's because it's a new question. So we didn't ask that question for some years ago. This is a relatively new question, so we don't have the answer on all products. So we when we explain how the system works, we explain that you have to be aware of these figures if you use this filtering, because you might risk to reduce your list too much if you use all the specifications and the numbers in the amount column is low compared to the total number of products. Then we have added possibilities to go the other way. Instead of reducing your result list, this is a way to extend your results. So if you're looking again to these commode shower chairs with casters and you don't find what you're looking for in the Danish systems, you can extend your search by making a lookup in the ETNA at the same product group or in the Norwegian database, which also uses the ISO classification. Then we have this related information. We have references, it's literature references, and we relate them to the product groups. So again, if it's bimanual, or now we are in human-driven wheelchairs, then if you take the link references, you will have literature references mapped to this part of the classification. And if you take a link here, you will have a summary of you will have the bibliographical information and a summary of the article or yes, whatever you refer to, and you will have an Google Scholar search included, so you can often find the full text version through the Google Scholar search. Yes, I think that was the last. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. I don't know if anybody of you has questions about his presentation. In the meanwhile, I would like to thank all the same John Gill, because his own presentation was ready since a long time, and he also tried many times, as I said, with me in the Adobe Connect platform, but actually the audio system still keeps having some technical problems. So he will send us in some days' time a written report clarifying his own presentation. So I would like to thank him, though he didn't manage to deliver his presentation today. I can see there is a question in the chat.
Yes.
If you want to answer directly.
Yes, I can answer.
Really loud. So it's a question by Renzo. Could you explain in more details how your system is using Google Scholar?
Yes. Well, we simply have included an input field on each page from the literature reference, and in that input field we have by standard put in the word in title, and then we put the title after that. And by doing that, the user can just type or press the search button, and then it will automatically look up in Google Scholar and search for references matching the title. So it's nothing. We don't have to do anything. We just include the reference in the system, and then this is done automatically.
Thank you.
Selv tak.
I can see that Jan is typing, but I don't know if she wants to still comment on the literature linked. Okay, there's another question. Can you also search by problem?
We have plans changing the front page of the database, and the plan is that we will make it possible to enter through 3 different ways. You can still use the search input field, and then that's yes, and then we have the browsing through the classification as one option as it is now, and then the scope entries, we will keep that, but as a third option we will make a user or målgrupper. Yeah, target groups. So it could be, for example, products for people with dementia or products for people with ADHD. And again, we will build it by mapping to the ISO, so it will be maintained through maintaining the ISO.
Okay then. So thanks to everybody. This is officially the last webinar of this cycle of presentation of our partner organizations. We still do not know what will happen next year. I mean, we will decide in 1 or 2 months' time what to do, whether to continue webinars in combination with the Artists for All consortium. We will see what will come out. So for the moment, I wish you nice, very happy Christmas and Happy New Year. As you know, you can find all the recordings of the webinar on the ETNA institutional website. And for the moment, I can tell you we will see in February. So I also suggest you to book hotels because it will be Milano Fashion Week. So it's just it happened like this. So I think that there will be many busy hotels. That's it. Just a piece of suggestion, piece of advice. Okay, as Renzo wrote, if anybody has any ideas for next webinars, please, any ideas, any advice is very welcome. And in case we will have time to discuss about it during the ETNA workshop in Milano. Yeah, regarding hotels, I can see the question by David. I will send you an email before Christmas. So, I don't know if anybody wants to say anything else. Otherwise, I would close this session. For the people who entered now into the webinar room, you can listen to the webinar recordings on the ETNA website. Thank you, Renzo, Thomas, John. Thank you to everybody. Bye-bye.